Society of Masonic Proctologists that hide behind the dumpster, pitchforks and anal probes and great big Masonic rings with rubber gloves on them. No siree, buddy. I'm standing here where it's safe. I got duct tape on the windows, assault rifles and jello pudding and K-rations, fire and smoke, and there ain't no monsters gonna get me. I got my tinfoil pyramid on my head to block out the mind control rays. I got all the secrets of the universe coming from an ad I answered in the back of Soldier of Fortune. I got a complex set of instructions from the Dobermans next door regarding exactly what to do with the bodies. You hear me? Everything is peachy.
We gotta be PG-13.
So lay off.
No anal probes.
They just make my teeth hurt. And why on earth would I want to stalk Barbara Streisand anyway? You government mind control people have a sick sense of humor. You'll have me wearing jammies and flip-flops.
You have to stay a foot from the mic.
No matter what, it just cuts out?
Yeah.
You're up.
No, they can hear you really good. Just stay a foot away from
All right, jammies and flip-flops. Singing Rama Lama Ding Dang before you know what I mean. They just don't understand. I gotta do my own thing, man. Jesus told me. Okay, it wasn't really Jesus. So that kind of looks like Jesus except for the funny hat. Oh, God damn it, all you had was Fidel Castro and me and Fidel and Dolly Partner, part of the secret orang-tang, poontang, rama-lama ding-dang, wing-wang society. We're going to start cleaning up this shit all over the planet, and we are starting with all the attractive people. You hear me, you pretty bastard.
Stop. You can't cuss.
PG-13.
We'll call that the end. I can't cuss at all?
You can't cuss at all. It's in the middle of the street with little kids walking. Obviously, you can't.
Forming flowers in 6 rows of color. My mind wonders, and I think to myself that I would like to have lots and lots of cats. Enough cats to fill a trunk and a half. Enough cats to fill every cabinet in my home. Starting with 2, growing a 3rd, and a 4th, and a 5th, until finally one day the walls and windows purr with loneliness. Each having a perfect alias such as Gershwin, Cato, Lush, and Screwball. I'll see cats on other people's streets and scheme fantastic plans to swell my pride. I'll feed all the cats on my alley, growing my own hairy flora, catnip, and banda, keeping cats in cages with 10-foot-high fences. And the neighborhood association will summon and impeach my cattery. I'll have a cat of every color and finicky demeanor lounging about on the rainbow of mewing cuteness. A menagerie, a pair of bald beggars, a motley crew of gymnastic burglars, somnambulists, chasing shadows on wires and royalty surveying my domain. I'll have scores of felines who will each empty room replacing everyone.
I didn't ask. Give me several
Misogynist haiku number 1. Men are like paper. Both can be significant and both can be flat.
Misogynist haiku number 27. Women are like ink. Hard to wash off your hands once you smear them all over yourself.
And in retort, so much unlike ink. Men try to lay their marks, but leave his stains instead.
Misogynist haiku number 77. We should have never learned y'all to breathe.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing all right, you.
You know, if I could pick a boy that I looked like, it would be you.
Like
if I could pick a girl that I looked like, it would still be him. Actually.
Your genitalia is like a flower. Sticky, aromatic, and crawling with insects.
You can't do that. We're gonna get thrown off the building. There's a police car right there listening to what you're saying.
I didn't say any bad words.
It's PG-13. Come on.
To write a poem, one to keep me company, someone, something that I could talk to, a raindrop poem for her dusty desert streets downtown, old buildings leaning down. Sometimes when I look into your broken window pane eyes, sometimes we all seem so abandoned. But I want to build a poem of wood and nails and glass and girders, a poem I could enter. I want to write a poem I could enter, and nothing but poems inside. I want to give birth to a poem, to enough poems to people these streets with me. Tonight, people, I want to write a poem so bad that I can taste it. I want to write a poem I could taste, a poem I could sink my teeth into, all 12 of them. A poem with more meat than gristle, and more vegetables than meat, and more fruit than vegetables, and more gin than anything. I want to write a poem that you could taste. Imagine a poem you could taste and smell and see written while hearing spoken, a poem you could touch and feel, because I gotta feel that poem. If I can't feel it, I don't even want it. I've gotta feel that poem. Whether velvet or satin or tree bark, whether sea breeze or broken bone, the touch of my lover's hand or her goodbye, I want to write a poem that makes me cry and makes me laugh and makes me break something. That happens a lot. And fall in love. A poem that's wet and dangerous and self-assured and orange. A poem with lakes and canyons and mountains and echoes and heroes. A poem with lightning and honey and anger. A poem that keeps the bed from spinning. A poem that brings you magazines when you're sick. A poem that lets the dog out when you don't want to get up. And a poem that pays you for that whole week you missed anyway. I want to write a poem that stands by us and by us all. Sports stars and musicians and plumbers, priests and sculptors and pilots, men, women and children, and every color of skin there is. A poem with eyes that sparkle and hearts that beat and hands that grasp. A poem that's a friend and a lover and family. A poem that brings us all together in one art museum to speak. Or it's just one person listening alone. I want to write a poem like that, and then I want to read it to you. Thanks.
John Collin right here starting us out. So that's what we're about, y'all. You know a little more about us now. Next poet I want to bring to the microphone is a member of your team, Austin Eagles 2006 Austin Poetry Slam team. Let me hear it for Tony Jackson. Bring him on.
How y'all doing? Wow, you know what? We just need to get y'all to the National Poetry Slam and we're going to have a good time. All right, so all of y'all show up and we don't have to do any more promo from now on. But we're still going to do promo from now on because we need like a couple thousand people, so. All right. A poem that I wrote for my home city, Austin. We call them vagrants, vagabonds, bums. We think the homeless are lazy, just waiting for someone to come into their lives and save them. So I guess that's why when that man walked up to me and said, "Hey brother, can you spare a word?" I said, "Nah, I ain't got no change." He said, "No, brother." I said, "Can you spare a word?" He said, "Sometimes I just need somebody to talk to." And I said, "Yeah, sometimes I do too." So now there's this homeless man named Harold, who I talk with on Sundays, and some days he says things that are amazing. Like how being homeless is a situation, but being alive is a blessing. Or how waking up carefree in a field of lilies is the surest way to know that God is still out there. There's this homeless man named Harold, who I talk with on Sundays, and some days he says things that are amazing. But usually he just says crap that's crazy. Like how the government put a chip in his head and how he those black helicopters are flying over the park, and I'm like, Harold, if we're gonna continue to be friends, I'm gonna need you to dial down the nutty. But sometimes I talk to him about how the stock market is falling or how the unemployment rate is rising or how for me, bankruptcy looks like a reality. And he stares at me from underneath a threadbare blanket that he calls home and says, "Hey boy, know your audience." So maybe Maybe talking to Harold is making me a better writer, or a better poet, or maybe just a better person. Because now I find myself talking to everybody. To the cab driver, to the bus driver, to the waitress, to my therapist, who says, how's all this talking make you feel? I'm like, I don't know. How's it make you feel? There's this homeless man named Harold, who I talk with on Sundays, and some days he says things that are crazy. But usually, he just doesn't say anything. Like when his daughter promised to come visit him in the park, yet didn't. We talked about sports. On 9/11, we talked about the weather. When I lost my job, we talked about the TV show The West Wing, and I'm not sure how he sees The West Wing. But when my dad died, we talked about how much I miss my dad. See, Harold has taught me that conversation isn't about saying anything, but being there when something needs to be said. It's like leaving a light on in the doorway of communication so that somebody knows you're home. So who is it? Who is it that you said you'd call last week? Who is it you plan to call tomorrow? Who is it that you wished you'd call before it was too late? Who is it you should just call and say, how you doing? How's your job? How's the kids? Do you know I love you? Do you know I'm here for you? Who is it that you should just call and say nothing to? Like Harold does on Sundays. When some days he says things that are amazing, and other days he says things that are crazy. But usually he just doesn't say anything. And I'm sure that those are the days that a homeless man saves me. Thank you.
That's Tony Jackson right there. Another one of the poets representing you in the Poetry Slam next week. Keep it going. Next up, Team Austin 2006. Genevieve Van Cleve, let's hear it.
Doesn't it feel like Austin is officially a city on the planet now? We got a museum, y'all! Woo! We got art and stuff. Thank God I grew up here. I just couldn't